WNST, chance to sit back, maybe have a few refreshments on Sunday, put my feet up, and watch this guy work for a living. He is a reporter and analyst for CBS Sports and the CBS Sports Network, as well as the host of the Ravens Unscripted out at their website and viewed locally here. He is pictured on the front of his Twitter with the Lombardi Trophy, just not our Lombardi Trophy. He is Evan Washburn. We welcome him back. You can follow him out on Twitter as well. Follow him all the way to Los Angeles this weekend for Texans and Rams, and of course last weekend doing that Philadelphia-Denver thing. First things first, dude, we'll get to the Ravens, but you got to see the Eagles up close. You buy them what they're selling at 8-1?
I really am. I mean, they're the best team I've seen through 9 games this year, and I've done 3 New England Patriot games, and I feel like I've seen some of the top teams in the AFC, and there's no real visible flaw. I mean, I knew their offense was good. I thought Carson Wentz was playing at that MVP pace, but I walked away most impressed with 2 things. Their offensive line, I think, is the best in football this year. What they did to that Denver defense and pass rush and pretty much nullified it. And then their defense. They can get after the quarterback as well as anybody. I mean, you got Fletcher Cox and a bunch of guys that kind of all look the same. Timmy Jernigan, former Raven, playing well for them. Chris Long comes in on 3rd down, and they play really well. I mean, they lost their middle linebacker and J.J. Hicks, and it doesn't seem to have slowed them down. So, yes, to this point in the season, the Eagles appear to be for real. If they can stay healthy, they can't have any more big injuries. Already lost Jason Peters. They look like the top of the class on that side of things.
Boy, to get my boy Schwartzy back in a position to get a gig, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's proven that he can make a defense as productive and difficult to deal with as any in the NFL. I don't know if that manifests itself into a head coaching job. It seems like, I mean, granted that the Broncos hired Vance Joseph, and he's a defensive guy, but teams are looking more towards the offensive side of the ball, especially when they have young quarterbacks. The Sean McVay model seems to be working in Los Angeles, but I'm a big fan of Jim Schwartz as well, and would love to see him get another gig.
All right, let's get on to the purple fever or the purple nightmare here or the purple dream sleep this weekend. I know I was in Nashville. You weren't there. I know you monitor the Ravens very closely, and
Sure.
Evan Washburn does live here in Baltimore as well. So you see it and feel it every time you're pumping gas or picking up a gallon of milk, I'm sure. Let's just start with Harbaugh and his security in all of this, where a backup quarterback 2 weeks from now in Green Bay who looked awful on Monday night, a backup quarterback in 3 weeks, and I know you're going to see Houston play this week, and them without Deshaun Watson's probably, and J.J. Watt and Mercil is a very, very different team. This is a soft second half schedule here when you put Cleveland in there, Jacoby Brissett in there, Cincinnati on the swan song for potentially for Marvin at the end of the year as well. There are a lot of winnable games here. If this team were to track under 500 the remainder of the way, I would be very, very troubled about the future and the direction of this franchise, given where they think they are, where they need to be, where their health has gotten better through the course of the season. They're going to be potentially healthier in the Green Bay game than they've been really at any point in the season, minus Marshall Yanda.
Look, I would agree with everything you said. And that point, and from listening to John yesterday and really the last few weeks as this thing has really been rough, 5 out of the last 7, there seems to be not a defiance, but a constant sort of commitment to what it is they're doing. And I understand that you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to send that message out there. But to me, there's ways of doing it where you give yourself a bit of an out, or you cover your basis a little bit if things go south. To me, whether it be his constant defense of Marty Mornhinweg and this offense and the identity of it and the fact that it's at some point going to become consistent, productive, or, as you mentioned, the health and how, hey, now we're healthy after the bye. I actually just interviewed Brandon Williams, and he brought that up, so it's clearly a message that's kind of been set from on high. Hey, this is how we're looking at this next sort of half of the season. We're healthy. We should be great. And look, for their sake and for Ravens fans' sake, I hope that's the case. And you laid it out well. It's there for them to take in terms of not necessarily making the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen, but at least coming out of this thing with a bit more dignity based off of the opponent. But I've just been a little surprised at how confident outwardly, as opposed to just sort of being nondescript. There's plenty of times where coaches and the Ravens are no different than this, sort of answer a question without ever really making any definitive statement or taking any definitive side, but they seem genuinely, if I'm to believe it, that this is a team that when they come out of this bye week, they're going to be humming because they're healthy and they've got Danny Woodhead back, and Marty and Greg Roman have been up in the lab, and this offense is going to start hitting on deep plays, all those things. So it sets up the obvious question: if it doesn't work, hey, why did you believe that?
Well, who's going to catch the ball is going to be the question. Who's going to protect Flacco? Can Flacco get the ball there? I don't know how many more times they're going to run Bashad Perryman out there to run around, but if he's not going to go up and get the ball, the interception thing, I mean, I know Flacco's leading the world in interceptions and all that stuff. Some of these have bounced between the 1 and the 1 and the 1 and the 2, and they've gone up in the air. Some of them have been on Flacco, and they always are, but there has to be somebody on the receiving side who's going to step up. I would hope it's Macklin. It feels like they've lost Wallace in all of this. And the whole notion that the tight end position is going to continue for like the 5th year in a row to just be this, well, we're 3rd and 9, we'll dump it 5 short, Watson will get tackled, and we'll bring Sam Cook on. That tight end dump, the check down, all of that stuff, that's getting to be a little tired around here.
I mean, I'd watched the game back this morning. You mentioned I'm on the road on Sundays, and I watch it on the condensed version, so I don't get a lot of the in-between plays. I just get every play and go through it twice, and it's really difficult to watch because it's just a carbon copy, and then they'll sprinkle in one of those deep tests. And, I mean, you lay it out a lot there, and the way that I would say it, one, yes. I mean, the check downs to the backs and the tight ends and all those things, that's difficult. I will say to their defense on that front that when New England does it or when Green Bay does it and those groups do it and are very productive and consistent with it, nobody complains. You just can't do that and then have the number of 3 and outs that this offense
Well,
has.
Somebody's got to make you miss, right? I mean, we've seen the Ravens defense whiff on guys out in the flat, specifically in that Chicago game. The Jacksonville game was horrible like that. But the Ravens haven't done a whole lot of that. There hasn't been a whole lot of yak around here, and more than that, when you throw the ball short of the sticks to begin with, you have to have somebody that can make a play. Woodhead's probably the only guy. I mean, I was kind of shocked they didn't use Campanaro more in that role when he was healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I think they tried it, and I do give them the benefit of the doubt. If they're not seeing his ability to do it in practice or in games consistently enough, I think it was maybe the Chicago game or a week before that where he really got his best shot at that, where we saw flashes, but he had a couple critical drops over the middle. I mean, Nestor, there's so many, to me, layers to the problems with what they're dealing with offensively, and you can point the obvious fingers at the coordinator, at the quarterback. I mean, I've always kind of taken this approach to one, I don't know enough about football to know exactly what it is, but to me the problems have been consistent enough over a long enough period of time, and I'm not just talking about this season, where if I was on the other side of the ball, I couldn't help but be frustrated. And that's where I'm fascinated by this whole ecosystem that is the Ravens, is that if I'm a CJ Mosley and we've had our own problems, the one thing I've always looked over to on the other side of the ball is, man, they're just kind of doing the same stuff over and over again, and it just isn't putting us in a better position. Then I'm frustrated because I'm a young guy in the prime of my career, and I'll bust in my butt. So that's where, to me, the rubber kind of has to meet the road, whether it's at some point this season, at the end of this year. That's where I become the most interested.
Well, also the defense this week had a chance to get the offense the ball back, and we've seen literally over the last year or two more of the defense getting shoved around late in the game where we were not used to that for the first 15, 20 years of the franchise.
Yes, but I think that in having just been probably a bit of, prisoner of the moment, but having watched what happened to Denver against the Eagles last week, as a defender, you just get tired of your offense not sort of just taking over a game and letting you, for lack of a better term, just, take a game off. I mean, I know that's not what I mean, but not have us have to have this Herculean effort to win a game. And the rules have changed, man, and you know this as well as anyone. I know you cover the sport. Defenders are not put in a position, whether it be down the field trying to get, impact plays or pressure on a quarterback. I mean, the first 15 years, this defense was dominant in large part because it was so intimidating, and certain things that they would do, where their hands were on offensive players, they just can't do anymore. So that's, to me, where I think you see the teams that are most successful are ones that have an impactful defense, but at times and more consistently than ever can count on their offense to just go win them a game and start making some plays. And they're winning games 32-24 or 28-17, that sort of thing. I think the world of the 12-9 wins and riding that to a playoff run or a Super Bowl, to me, are becoming few and far between. He
is Evan Washburn. You can follow his journey out on Twitter at Evan Washburn, reporter and analyst for CBS Sports, as well as the Ravens Unscripted show. This portion of our WNST programming brought to you by Deli-ish on Wise Avenue in Dundalk, New York-style deli. They got the Reubens, the tasty lean corned beef, and legit sandwiches like the Curly Fryer. Tasty pickles, and they cater in as well for the holidays. DeliBaltimore.com is the way to find them, and Deli-ish on Wise Avenue in Dundalk. Also brought to you by our friends at King Discount Liquors, Lottery, Beer, Booze, and the best prices in Baltimore. Get out to Rosedale and give the King a ring. Tell him I'm looking for some Malbec, and whatever you do, don't look for Paul on Facebook. He doesn't have Facebook. Evan Washburn joining us here. He will be doing Rams and Texans this week. You get a pretty nice little 1-2 punch on the AFC side of the CBS Mike flag where you're getting Philly and the Rams in back-to-back weeks. You're really going to have a nice little compare and contrast. And by the way, every time I think I've seen the NFL in every new stadium, I realize they're playing in the Coliseum now in LA, and they're playing in that cheese box down in Carson, and amongst other things. So, I am a little jealous because you're going to get to see a game at the Coliseum. So there, have at it.
This will be my third trip there this year. We did a preseason game nationally. We were there week 1, and I'll admit, I mean, if you're a fan of amenities, which I know, Nestor, you're a man of the people, so you can live without those. But if you're covering this game as a member of the general media, I could see how it might be a bit rough. But down on the field, the sight lines are great. I'm a fan of that one big tunnel everyone's going in and out of, so no one can sneak away from you if they're injured. So it's a fun experience. And to your point, with the cross flex that we have now between Fox and CBS and really just some of the scheduling that the league has done to try to help keep ratings high or increase them with what we've been dealing with this year. I mean, I've been to Chicago, seeing Philly, the Rams. I mean, it's a nice way to break up what is a lot of, at times, AFC East, AFC North football, which we all love, but it's always good to sneak out and see something different.
Well, the weird part of the AFC is just how bad these teams have been this year, right? Like they're, other than Pittsburgh, Kansas City, New England, and that's for this week. I mean, you take Tom Brady out, you take Alex Smith out, you take Roethlisberger out, you'd have the same situation you have in Green Bay right now. But, you play with what you've got, and where the Ravens are with the schedule right now and with no clearly defined second tier really at all. I mean, the South is still trying to shake out the Tennessee-Jacksonville thing, and clearly the Ravens wouldn't have a tiebreaker with either one of them either. But I do see some blue water here for the Ravens where they're going to be favored a lot in the second half. They are healthier than they've been, but that also jacks up the level of expectations that you better not lose to Brett Hundley. You better not lose to Tom Savage. You better not be the team that loses to the Browns. You better not be the team that loses to Jacoby Brissett. And all that being said, well, there's 4 right there. You better not lose. That gets you to 8. Now, how you get to 9 or 10, that's going to be up to Matt Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger, Marvin at the end of the year. But they're, scheduling, and I know Billick used to scream bloody murder when his schedule came out, and we've been a first-place team or second-place team a lot of years where there's been a lot of tough scheduling. This ain't that year. This is a year where the schedule can't be an excuse. The schedule's got to be a reason.
I mean, it's a great point. It's a unique situation based off of the injuries to marquee players that they happen to be seeing or had planned on seeing when this came out last spring. The one thing I'll say is just that the margin for error with this team, to me, no matter who they're facing, I mean, Mariota's a great young quarterback, but he didn't do anything in that game last Sunday that I walked away saying, oh, God, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, there didn't seem to be a bunch of wow plays. So to me, it continues to be about who this team is and how they're going to win games or try and win games. Yeah, the opponent's going to help, the Hundleys of the world and the Jacoby Brissetts and Tom Savages will help in that department. But they've done nothing to me to prove that any of these are ones that you can just be like, they'll take care of that based off of what we've seen thus far.
Tell us about Unscripted and what you do there. I know it's not as omnipresent as everyone would like it to be, but I know you're out there doing it. It's a great show, and I want to give you a chance to promote that a little bit because you work hard on the Ravens side of things as much as you're on airlines every Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We've had your guy Luke Jones on the show. He did a nice job. The one thing I'll say,
how did he get on before me? Damn it! I mean, I'm invisible over here.
Booking Nestor, so I'll give that as my defense. but maybe we're skewing younger.
Yeah, that's probably it. He's younger and better looking. If you're looking,
taste on your hands.
Hey, look, if you're looking for younger, better looking, and more well informed and polite, then go with Luke.
Maybe that's it. But what I'll say is that for what this is, which is a Ravens produced show, I do appreciate the fact that they allow us and the people that are on the show, two of which are usually in-house media, whether it be Ryan Mink, Garrett Downing, or Sarah Ellison, really voice their opinions about the team. And especially when we're in a situation like this where the team's with a losing record or hovering around 500, they're still able to have a strong opinion, and I think fans appreciate that. And as somebody who comes at this with a national perspective, I like being a part of a show like that as well. So I do think it's a good listen. We try to have some fun, not take things too seriously, but also just kind of speak for what we think that the folks out there that really follow and love this team will be thinking as well.
Well, you tell whoever the production assistant is over there that if I get booked on, I will shave, bathe, and smell nice and dress up nice, okay?
Well, maybe you're just that fine line of what we're allowed to say about the Ravens as an in-house production. You might be skewing towards the other end of that. Maybe we'll get you after this team wins 4 in a row.
You know, after 27 years of doing this, there may be someone in Owings Mills that says, that Aparicio is a loose cannon. We can't have him around here. Hey, great day.
We do tape it, though, so there is that.
I have not broken any FCC regulations in over 2 decades. I'll have you know that, Evan Washburn.
The Lou Gehrig, the Cal Ripken streak. We'll keep it local. Impressive in that regard.
I keep saying, if you want younger, better looking, and more well-informed, you made the right choice. So go with Luke. Great to have you on, Evan. We'll see you soon. Happy travels out to L.A. there. Get some good sushi and pick up some fish tacos, all right?
We'll do it, Nestor. Thanks for having me, man.
You got it, Evan Washburn. You can find him out on Twitter at Evan Washburn as well as at CBS Sports. He's doing Rams-Texans this week on the backside of having done that Eagles big win over Denver in Philadelphia. For me, my feet are up on the couch this weekend. I'm doing some Red Zone. You can find me Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are doing a live radio show on Tuesday night with C.J. Mosley. We'll be swabbing for the Bone Marrow Registry and for There Goes My Hero. More details coming out as we get a little later into the week around here. The buyatoyota.com audio vault is the way to listen from anywhere in the world, anytime. Just download the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. It's all brought to you by buyatoyota.com. Last but never least, breaking news happens first on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And Dennis Colatzos will be here on Thursday, driving you home from 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.